The Gospel according to John is sometimes regarded as being quite abstract, mystical and cosmic. Jesus he seems to go about floating a foot off the ground. This generalisation isn't always true though. And an example which jumped out at me today is Jesus and friendship. Jesus having friends. So just think about that for a moment, that Jesus in his humanity, of course, included genuinely having friends. Not just disciples, family members, adversaries, petitioners for healing or whatever. He had friends, buddies, bros, mates, including genders there. So I want to explore Jesus through the lens of friendship for a bit and think a bit about a theology of friendship. Now the word that's translated friend in this gospel passage is philos in Greek, which is one of the words for love, meaning warm, affectionate, non-sexual love. It's a love which is committed, chosen voluntarily to engage with, and can last a lifetime if the work is put in. And philos, or friendship love, as we experience it in our own lives, it's one of those things which is hard to explain. It's like, I don't think we can always explain why we get along better with some people than others. I'm certainly surprised at some of the people I do get along with. Not talking about anyone here. Sorry, that wasn't in this. That was just anyway. We do see in the gospel accounts of Jesus' life that, like any group of people which are united in some way, think of the Fellowship of the Ring or the Avengers or Justice League or Dominic Toretto and his group in the Fast and Furious franchise, people can and do become friends in a really powerful, meaningful way. And this happens with Jesus and his disciples. They become friends. And just as it happens between Jesus and his companions, so it's made possible for us with one another, for us with Jesus, for us with God the Holy Trinity. Now, if you search the word friend in an online Bible, you will find plenty of instances of its use which reinforce this. So just a couple. It was said of Moses in the book of the Exodus, the Lord used to speak to Moses face to face, as one speaks to a friend. And in the Greek translation of the Hebrew text, it's the same word there, philos. Also, in the book of the prophet Isaiah, God says of Israel that you are the offspring of Abraham, my friend. So, friendship is of God. It is of God. It is desired by God with us. It's desired by God for us. But I don't think it's an area which gets much attention, at least not that I've seen, in Christian discourse. Although, one of the branches of the Christian family tree, commonly called the Quakers, its formal name is the Religious Society of Friends. Also, when it comes to friendship, I'm aware from one or two colleagues which have been called by God to celibacy that friendships become absolutely vital in every sense. They're some of the most powerful, meaningful relationships. I've also met Christian people who, rather than having a romantic life partner, have pretty much full life partnerships with friends without going into, added benefits, as it were. And I'm not being naive about that. That is genuinely how some people have chosen to live. It's like friendship as an alternative to marriage and family, not just something that sits alongside those institutions. It's really an important relational unit. And I wonder whether the quite natural emphasis, and it is quite natural, emphasis in Christian circles on family structures and language. We talk of sisters and brothers in Christ, the family of God. It may be that has meant an imbalance has crept in, which means friendships are devalued in a way which is not helpful, healthy, or even biblical. So if we take the view that friendships are actually central and not peripheral to godly living, then perhaps Jesus' words in John's Gospel and in the others where he redefines relational boundaries, think of, here are my mother and my brothers and my sisters. There's a major thread that we can draw on here. Again, just looking at Jesus, consider the male disciple called the Beloved, who had, you could say, a strikingly affectionate relationship with the Lord. And likewise, Mary, who dries Jesus' feet with her hair. Lazarus, his good friend, whose death brought him to tears. Friendships are central, not peripheral. They are of God. And I should say at this point, there is an inescapable complexity because human friendships as we experience them cannot be completely like friendship with God, as God also has the call on our reverence, obedience, or all the other ways in which we properly relate to God. And of course, friendship as we experience it is inevitably open to violation through sin of whatever form. But we're just sticking with the positive for now. So I invite you to make a little shift in your thinking from here on, if such a shift needs to be made. Seriously think of friendship in general and the close friendships that you have in particular as being gifts from God. They are actual gifts, not just happy accidents or bonuses in life. They are distinctive blessings from God. The concept of a friend has its origin in God, and so we must ascribe some value accordingly. There was a celebrated major theologian of the 20th century, Jürgen Moltmann. He wrote a bit about friendship in his 1977 book, The Church in the Power of the Spirit. And he says, when, in the field of human relationships, the parent-child relation comes to an end, when the master-servant connection is abolished, and when the privileges based on sexual position are removed, then what is truly human emerges and remains, and that is friendship. The new human being, the true human being, the free human being is the friend. Friendship is the reasonable passion for truly human fellowship. It is mutual affection cemented by loyalty. The more people begin to live with one another as friends, the more privileges and claims to domination become superfluous. The more people trust one another, the less they need to control one another. The positive meaning of a classless society free of domination, without repression and without privileges, lies in friendship. Without the power of friendship, and without the goal of a friendly world, there's no human hope for the class struggles and struggles for dominance. So when was the last time you caught up with your good friends? Maybe you do a lot, and that's great. Maybe you haven't seen your good friends in a while, and it's time to start remembering them as being genuine gifts from God. And also, and this is going to sound like a very naff question, but if Jesus was standing here, would he call you friend? Not in the same degree as Mary of Bethany or the beloved disciple, but with the time and energy that you invest in your relationship with Christ, make that a natural description. It's worth thinking about. Now, I thought at this point, an eminently appropriate way to conclude would be to sing What a Friend We Have in Jesus. So actually, something I prepared earlier, in the orders of service for the day, if you turn just on the inside of the back, we're gonna sing it.